Hey, I'm Mike.
I'm Bryan.
Welcome to Korracast.
Hello! Welcome to a very special episode of Korracast.
First of all, I just want to say thank you both for joining us today. It's definitely a huge honor.
Good to be here.
It's an honor you guys would dedicate a whole podcast to our series. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So before we get started, we just want to let you new viewers know about some of the ways that you can keep up with YumChunks. You can follow us at facebook.com/YumChunks, or you can subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/TheYumChunks, for more Korra videos and a bunch of other crazy stuff. So make sure you guys check that out.
All right. Well, are you guys ready to start doing some chunk bending here?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
Where are these YumChunks? And,
we are the.
Why are we chunk bending them?
All will be revealed in due time.
Yes. Okay. First question: have you guys ever seen Korracast?
no.
What is your favorite episode?
That's a better question. So of the four of us, who do you ship?
I know that you guys just got back from Korea. You had that rap party at Studio Mir. So where are you guys at emotionally, knowing that, Korra's wrapping up?
I'm in a numb phase.
Yeah, it's like a weird mix of being numb and stressed. Like, there's no relief yet, but I'm hoping there will be. Because I have to pack up my office of 5 years, and I'm trying to find a new studio to rent. And I kept thinking there would be this period where it would just calm down, and Mike and I would be hanging out at the cafe. And, it's never happened. I don't think it's going to happen.
So the senioritis for Korra hasn't kicked in?
Senioritis kicked in a couple months ago.
Effect. But you guys are right up to the end, right? Yeah. Just working straight through.
Well, it's just been a weird year or 6 months, just because it's not like one day everything ends. It's been this slow trickling of people first. The writers leave, and then the storyboard artists, and then the directors, and then then we just did one of the almost last records today.
Right.
So it's
okay.
And then we had the rap party here. So it's it's a long. It's the longest goodbye.
Yeah. There's nothing really fast in animation.
I mean, it's been 18 months, less than that really, since season 2 aired. So, I mean, it's such a just crazy short amount of time for 3 seasons to have aired of Korra. I mean, the production, I can't even imagine the stress and the craziness like you guys mentioned, but how's it different than the original series production?
Yeah, it's different in a lot of ways. I got this letter from a 13-year-old kid the other day who was like, "How long does it take to make an episode of Korra?" I'm thinking it's at least over 2 weeks. I was like, well, you're right. Mike's like, he's right, it is over 2 weeks. But yeah, I mean, it takes us... On Avatar, it was 9 to 10 months per episode from beginning to end. And on Korra, it's a year to a year and a half per episode. So,
but I mean, during that time, are you working on a whole season of episodes at once?
We at the seasons.
At the peak of the overlap, we were working on 30 episodes at one time. We were working on post on book 2, production on book 3, and pre-production on book 4, and it's just that's the hardest thing about TV, is the overlap.
Is that something you're kind of ready to take a break from? Is just the hectic kind of production schedules?
Totally.
Yeah.
A break or never do it.
Never
again. That'd be another way to word it.
Since the Korra has always been, I don't know, I've always liked just the mature and kind of darker, at the same time balancing just the funness of it. Do you guys ever find yourselves hard limiting yourself, maybe not limiting yourselves, but finding the balance of, we killed a couple people off last season. That was kind of dark, but still making sure you're not too far. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the biggest difference between Avatar and Korra was we did want to cut back on some of the goofiness. Not so much, we like the fun and the humor and the lighter moments, but there were a lot of, when we look back, there were a lot of very jokey moments, which makes sense. It was younger kids.
For sure.
And stuff, but we still wanted to keep that humorous element, but just our sensibilities, we're not jokey type writer guys. So on book 1, which we both wrote together, I think the humor came out more from like the situational stuff and like
Yeah.
Boland's natural
Yeah.
like goofiness, and then PJ Byrne, who played him, like adding an extra layer of like improv and wackiness to his character, but it still feels grounded and real.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think that's one thing that I've really appreciated about Avatar and Korra is that you guys have found a way to really balance like action and serious moments and then humor. And it's something that I have not seen definitely in any other Nickelodeon show. So I mean, like, I don't know how you do it. Like the process of saying like, okay, we just had Tarlok and Noatak, their boat blew up, they're both dead, and we still have to somehow leave people on a note where they're not totally devastated for the rest of the season. So it's just, this isn't really a question, but hats off to you guys.
I think the main thing is that Mike and I've said it in other interviews, but like, we're not, like he said, we're not just full-on comedy guys, and nor are we just action.
Yeah.
Punch, you know, and we love serious stuff, but we don't want to just make a really bleak show.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, I think there's room for any number of those types of things depending on the project, but just our own sensibilities, and particularly for this stories in this world, like it's just the balance that
It always depends. Like as the season goes on, and then you get to the last few episodes, there are fewer jokes and things, but we still try to throw a couple in there.
Mm-hmm.
So you told us to embarrass you guys. I think is that it?
Oh no! Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get some
Man.
context.
No, I want to know. What?
Mexico, man.
Yeah?
Mexico.
Yeah, that's all. It's like
Yeah.
it's Chinatown, Jake. It's Chinatown.
Let's transition from you breaking your head
Okay.
to something that has to do
I've
with
already
this.
forgot it. My brain trauma has made me forget. I think Korra is interesting because in some ways it's the transition from childhood to adulthood, but in also ways just the show came in an interesting time because it's in many ways the transition in media. One of the things I think you said is that what you loved about the fandom and then telling you about is how they watch the show and experience the show with their family, and like everyone from their oldest grandmother to their youngest kid, and it's a communal experience. But with the transition to online now, it's becoming a very, the way we interact with media is very solitary now in a lot of ways. How does that influence how you create the show, if at all? I mean,
it didn't. I mean, because a lot of those changes happened very late in the game.
Yeah.
It didn't really influence like how we told the stories
Yeah.
or what kind of stories we were telling.
Mm-hmm.
You do raise a good point. I don't know how families are gathering around the computer screen now. Or
A lot of people. I
mean,
mean,
you can
a lot
still
of people
watch
have
it on-
internet on
yeah.
TV.
I mean,
Yeah,
we
it's
actually
Yeah.
do that ourselves.
So maybe that's what they're doing. I mean, I hope the families are still watching
Yeah.
together and they're not all in separate rooms.
Grandma pulls it up on
Yeah.
Xbox Live.
Yeah.
You know, who knows?
One thing I really wanted to ask you is, I mean, kind of leading back into the change in social media. I mean, I know you two both have like Facebook and Tumblr accounts, and you update them, a lot, and then you just have thousands and thousands of fans, retweeting and sharing everything that you guys do. So what does it kind of feel like to have that sort of power over the social media to where when you say something, it just breaks worldwide?
That was kind of weird. Like,
It took some getting used to.
yeah. Well,
Because we were not, Mike and I were very late to like publicly joining social media, so
not so much. Yeah, the commenting wasn't a surprise. I think the surprise was like this year how like if Bryan put one thing on Tumblr, it was like suddenly a news story.
That was
like that's just
Yeah.
weird.
Uh-huh.
Like
Yeah,
that's
my friend-
suddenly journalism.
my friend made a documentary about some friends of mine worked at Rhythm and Hughes, and they were in the middle of like this crazy, the kind of American visual effects industry imploding because of this like just not a sustainable model for it. And my friend made a documentary. My other friend worked at the company, so it was kind of close to me, and I just like posted it and said, this is an unsustainable model. And the next thing I know, it's like a news article like that, like Bryan Konietzko, and someone was like, how's he gonna work in Hollywood now? As it like they're gonna leave me outside the doors of Hollywood. Like, no, you said that this model was unsustainable. How you're never coming in here again.
That's kind of horrifying. It feels like there's like a very tight line that you have to walk.
There is. I would say for me, it's cool. It's fun. I appreciate all the people that care to follow me on Tumblr and look at my posts and stuff. The thing for me was in the beginning, I just wrote the way I would write to like my friends on a post or something, sarcastic and joking around, and like people took it so literally. But I was like, well, wait, I see everybody else's posts and they're joking around and they were being sarcastic, and I actually like people might not think this, but like when people make fun of the show, like in good, like if it's in good, you know, like in good spirit, they're making fun of the show. I think it's hilarious. Like I love a lot of the, you know, the gifs and the like memes and all that stuff. I think that stuff's really amusing, and and in the beginning, I think I was trying to communicate in that same spirit, not to copy it, but just like, I think that stuff's funny too. This is how I would talk with my friends. Yeah, totally. And it just like, people are, like would take everything I said really literally, or like, you know, I always say to people, like, if you tell a joke to someone, you know, they might like it, but try telling that joke to 10 of your friends. You know, and like maybe 4 of them are like, I didn't get it, or like, I'm really offended, and like, well, try telling that to like tens of thousands of people. So I've kind of just given up trying to have any personality online. It's just like, whatever. Yeah,
that's good advice.
It's kind of boring, but
no soul.
Well, because we always try to inject some sort of humor into our show, and even though we definitely do not have the same amount of viewers that you guys have, there's always those like 3 or 4 people that just get totally offended by anything that we do.
Yeah,
I think it's the perceived audience is the thing, right? You're selling who you think are your friends, like, and then wait, who is listening to this? And
yeah, it's better to be boring.
I bet they're probably offended, right?
Yeah, they're walking out as we speak. So.
Is there a way to transition from that? Let's figure it out.
The media today, I don't know, in general terms, there's like these large universes. It's like a multiverse of, there's Star Wars and there's Marvel and there's Harry Potter. In a lot of ways, the Avatar universe is of that now. Do you guys feel, what sort of responsibility do you have towards, like, in the same way Lucas or, you know, Rowling, and just like that, this is what you've created, and it's now just in the ether of our pop culture?
I think we just try to influence the things we can actually influence, like which is the show, and then a few extensions of it, like the comic books, and just like a handful of other little products. But like there's so much that's out of our hands, and that's in the fans' hands now, or you know, whatever Nickelodeon and Viacom decide to do with the property, whether we're involved or not. Like there's gonna be a lot of stuff that we may not like, or that's beyond the realm of our control. So I mean, we've just been focused on making the best show we can, and hopefully that will stand the test of time, and whatever other ups and downs come along the way.
Yeah, the difference between the things you meant, you know, these big properties you mentioned, other than the fact that they're huge and we're not that big, is like they
I like Avatar.
Star Wars. I mean, maybe until recently, I guess that was owned by George Lucas. He owned it. Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling owns it. She controls it. I mean, it's the difference. You know, I for years, this goes back to like Avatar. Like when I see people post stuff, they say like characters copyright Mike and Bryan, and that's sweet. Like I really appreciate like the thought. I really do. But it's like, no. If you look on everything, it's copyright Viacom. You know, we were young. We didn't have any like leverage as like show creators. This wasn't a pre-existing property that we could like license to Nickelodeon. So, you know, we signed it over. They own it. So that is a big difference. And it, like Mike said, it's like we can't say like, well, you know what, next Mike and I feel like we're gonna do this with the property. It's definitely not in our hands, and
I guess there's kind of pros and
difference.
There's pros and cons, I guess, to both of that. For one, I guess you don't feel obligated to work in this universe forever. Like somebody else could potentially carry on with it. Yeah. But also, I mean, it in many ways,
no,
Avatar,
that would be horrible.
Avatar is, I mean, it's your baby. You guys got together and created an Avatar.
Made a baby.
And that baby's name is Avatar.
Someone else has custody. Yeah. That's the tricky part. And, I mean, I'm not someone who would just like wake up and be like, oh, it's so cool that like someone else is doing a series based on what I created. Like that would drive me crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike and I are very hands-on in all aspects of the show, you know, and it would have to be incredibly special circumstances and a very select group of people to run it without us. But even then, like, where's the fun in that for us?
Exactly.
Like, I mean, we like to create this stuff. So, I mean, we've made 113 episodes between the two series, and I don't feel any obligation to do it for the rest of my life, but I might feel creatively interested to come back at some point.
I mean, it's interesting that, I mean, like you said, at 150, you've ingrained so much, you're so personally involved. What do you think people could possibly just learn about you guys as individuals, your personality, your thoughts, beliefs, from watching the show?
You know, especially with, you know, it started Avatar, but like certainly through Korra. Thank you. That was one of my big goals, and I think Bryan too, was like to explore this through Korra's character, like exploring spirituality more, exploring, you know, more about the natural world and the balance between the modern world and traditional beliefs and cultures and stuff, and like where those conflicts happen and why, and how can you have like Republic City and the Air Nation, and like how, or Korra's, you know, traditional water tribe culture with this new, you know, modern world that's evolving around her. So
I mean, in many ways, it's reflective of our world. I mean, you have these, you know, old cultures that are kind of dying away because of, you know, the new generations that are kind of forgetting
it's just such a timely show, I think, too. I think that's one thing that, I don't know, I think could go underappreciated. It's just a very timely show. It's of our time and place, really. And really appreciate it. I mean, what do you think? How would it be different, do you think? I mean, without getting too predictive of the future, like, do you think it would be the same show if you made it 15 years from now or 15 years before now?
I mean, you know, that would go the same for the first series. If we made it now, it would be different. Yeah, it's just where we are in our lives and what we're interested in, and it's always going to help shape, you know, the tone of the show or where it goes. So.
Well, even like, I mean, the whole reason we had pro bending was like how into like MMA you were and stuff.
Yeah,
like that wasn't something like I would have naturally like pitched or like, but Bryan, you know, we found a way to make it cool and make it like weave into the story,
and to kind of, you know, tweak to fit the time period. You know, more of it.
One thing I did want to mention is I know that after the original Avatar series wrapped up, you had that documentary. I think it was called like Avatar Spirits, and it kind of went through the whole process that you guys had from the very first, you know, sketch that you did, and where the characters look nothing like they, you know, did in the original series, but it just covered the whole, you know, beginning to end of Avatar. If you were going to do something like that with Korra, what kind of differences do you think would like be shown in the process?
We thought we had seen it all on Avatar, and then we had no idea what we were in for on Korra. And we always said it would make it amazing. We said like this would make an amazing like production documentary, but we just couldn't talk about any of it. Like none of it. Maybe in like 20 years we could talk about it, but we just can't.
The NDA's expired.
Yeah, we just can't talk about any of it, and a lot of it is probably boring stuff. For like, it's not like juicy, like creative. It's just like crazy stuff that happened in the production. That it's just,
but I feel like the storyline of that documentary would be like, how did the show actually end up existing? Because there were so many points where it almost got shut down, or you know, almost didn't get finished in time, or got moved off television. Like how did it? We actually were able to make all the episodes we wanted to make, despite all the ups and downs,
every obstacle.
But none of it was filmed, so
and it's a lot of the stuff people don't know. Like they don't know, like Mike said, times where the show was like going to be shut down, or like. That was it, and then, you know, but it's also been this weird, like, then it would swing wildly. I mean, we never even, the show was picked up before it existed. That's like a crazy swing towards like good luck, and then, you know, we somehow got picked up for 52 episodes before we'd even aired any of them. Like that's another weird, like, that shouldn't have happened, but we, like, it swung the other way, and then we had like just crazy. Went through such crazy stuff.
Because I know for the original series, you started off. You were only picked up for, was it 13 episodes for the original series?
Yeah, we got like 6 scripts first, and then it was 13 episodes. So you know the Blue Spirit episode that could have been the last one. So we kind of made that like a tentpole, like.
Yeah, but you had like there was a substance there that you were like, okay, we have this, we're selling this, as opposed to, like you said, Korra, we don't have anything, and
they came to us and said we've greenlit 12-episode miniseries for you.
Get to work.
Do whatever you want, and we said, all right, this is what we want to do, and then they were like, oh, you know, so it was crazy. It's been an awesome. I mean, we've worked with such cool people, and I think we've all pushed each other, and I know I've grown a ton as an artist and writer, and met just some amazing people, and we had all these goals, and I feel like we really hit a lot of them. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I asked where you guys are at emotionally, just because if it was such a ridiculous or like a crazy and like stressful process of making it, you know, this could be therapy for you guys. You know, you could let it all out on the table. So
This interview?
with this interview,
I don't think we have enough time.
Well, I think
So
that's
much,
the thing.
yeah.
It's like, just even though all that stuff happened, stress and everything, like in the end, the show came out great. So
Yeah.
like, if we had gone through all that and the
Yeah.
show sucked, that would be another story. Then we'd be super.
I mean, one of the
depressed.
things, like, maybe, you know, the crucible of the stress kind of creates these amazing things,
Yeah.
right? If it wasn't as stressful, maybe the product wouldn't have
Yeah.
been.
No,
You
it
can't
would
work
be,
on
it would be
any-
great. Our lives
No,
would
it
be better.
I don't
Health
think you
would be
could work
better.
on any TV or film production like
Yeah.
that and it'd be not stressful.
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible. I
Just
mean,
the nature of
just
it.
the way, schedules and
Yeah, like that overlap.
personalities and just everything you have to oversee in a limited amount of time. It's like there is stress.
Yeah, hopefully that doesn't show in the product. Yeah. Wow, this looks stressful.
They had things they were working through in that episode. The way the production went with this, the way the Korra was, it was much more episodic too, as opposed to the original series. Was that kind of in due part of the process? I would imagine you guys had that laid out ahead of time, but how did that affect the
You mean
production?
it's more of a continuous story?
Well, in terms of the storyline, in the original series, it was, kind of over the 3 seasons, a continuous arc, more or less. And then each season of Korra, we have,
yeah,
does
but
that
I
make
would
sense?
say Korra is more of a continuous story than
Within each season.
within each season.
Yeah.
I think there's less filler in each season. The seasons were shorter, and the stories were a lot more plot.
Yeah.
Like a lot more of like domain plot. So yeah, in a way, it was more of a continuous storyline. But
I think we've talked about it before, but it's just like when it started out, it was just 12 episodes.
Yeah, that's-
we're like, we're gonna make this awesome 12 episode thing. If for some reason they want to make more, it's designed in a
Lends
way
itself
like,
to it.
oh, we could have another adventure
Yeah.
that can tie in, but can be standalone season. So and as it went on, things kind of obviously connected a little more between the seasons, but we still wanted to keep them very different from each other.
Yeah.
yeah,
that was creatively more interesting to us at that time. I mean,
Yeah.
we pitched Avatar the way it is, and that's what we wanted to do at that time. But after, like, carrying that torch of
For
like,
so long.
Aang's gonna fight Ozai, he's gonna fight Ozai, like for so many years, and then like, I think we were both when the network came to us and said, hey, we picked up 12 episodes, and if we are going to pick up others, there are going to be these mini seasons where like we were like, that's great. And they said, could those seasons be more self-contained? We were like, that sounds cool.
Okay.
That way for us, it's like each season is a new challenge, a new arc, and it's not like, I mean, that was also a stressful thing, was like the beginning of Avatar is like, are we gonna make it to the end?
Yeah.
Or is this story gonna be cut in half? And
Yeah.
we've like bled for it.
Yeah.
And then it's
Just have that constantly on your
truncated.
shoulder.
Yeah. So this one, it was a little bit more modular.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were on book 2 by the time we got picked up for book 4, and so we sort of at that point we started mapping out like, all right, this is where the arcs are gonna wrap up.
What sort of, legacy do you feel like you want to leave with Avatar in general, but with Korra specifically, to the fans, but also just kind of to yourself, to the creative storytelling you've had with this series?
I mean, hopefully, like Avatar, which people still are watching and lives on to this day. Like, I mean, I've always wanted to create something that's not just like a one-off thing that people forget about as soon as they watch it. That does kind of stand the test of time, and kids will be watching it for
sure
for years.
Yeah.
Hopefully, and and just that it. I mean, we've seen it already, that it inspires people to write their own stories or get into animation or do their own art and stuff. And to me, that's like the coolest thing, that it inspired someone to like pursue their passion and or give them the courage to do it or whatever. Like that's all I could ask for. So
makes me feel good. It's right
here.
Yeah,
It's right here.
it's good.
Yeah.
Feels.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the it's in the show,
Yeah.
But everything I want to kind of be the legacy or whatever is in the show or the art books that we've made, and I mean, I hope I hope we help push the medium a bit, and I don't think we're the only ones to do it. I mean, I think there's a lot of really awesome productions around town and around the world, and I love that. You know, I always say, like, I want all the shows at all the networks, all the studios to be awesome. I want everybody to keep pushing it. I think it's, it's cool to not have to make a show where it's like based on data, like the network data says this is what works, and this is what kids like, and this is what we want to sell. So you got to make it that way. There are a lot of forces at work trying to make shows that way, and it's nice to like make a show like this that, unfortunately it got like fumbled unceremoniously, as I like to say, in its distribution, but it's still being viewed by millions of people all over the world. So in some ways it is a success. In other ways it's been a weird bumpy ride for it, but yeah, I think I imagine it's going to have some legs like Avatar. So.
Yeah, I know. I think so. I think it's going to resonate. I think with people in this age group, everyone really.
Yeah, I know we kind of talked about how you guys wanted to take a break once you're done with this, but I mean, are you considering? I mean, do you have anything kind of in the works or maybe in your heads to go back into this universe?
This universe.
Not necessarily this universe. We have other ideas in our mutual thing.
That's
but
awesome.
We can't talk about them.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they are different than Avatar.
Okay. I mean, that's really cool. I think that I know personally, I think you guys work like so well together as a team that, I mean, like, even if you guys leave the Avatar universe, you are going to have, a giant like group of fans that are just going to follow you and just...
Yeah, that's super cool. I mean, that
would be awesome.
Definitely something I didn't ever think about when we like did even Korra, like, oh, these people will be interested in what I do next. Like, that never really crossed my mind until more recently. And like, oh, that's cool. I hope they do enjoy what comes next.
You didn't, because like
not in the. I mean, I just figure like they're more fans of the show.
Yeah.
Not necessarily me personally.
Which might be the case.
Yeah.
That might.
Yeah,
we
I'm not
might
saying
find
not
that.
No one fucking knows.
It's not like everyone's.
I hope it's not.
Be into it, but But I think a lot of people will check it out, knowing who we are. So.
No, I think it's pretty guaranteed you'll get some people watching.
Well, going back to the idea of like, who that this corporation owns this and not the two of us, and we don't really have control of it. Like, when Mike and I signed that deal for Avatar in 2002, like, we knew that. We knew that's what we were up. We knew that was like the trade-off to potentially getting to make a series was that, well, we're not going to get to own it, and but we get to do it at this huge network, and they're going to put a lot of support behind it, financially, and distribute it internationally, and they did that really well. So I think for me, it was like I was fully vested in the project, but it was like I knew from working on other shows that like when it gets canceled, the creator's name is really the only one people pay attention to.
That's true.
Outside of like like if you're just trying to get a job in the industry or something. So it was like I wanted Mike and I to get a show to help then leverage us into other projects.
It's certainly got your foot in the door.
Yeah, so I don't think either of us was like, when we pitched Avatar, like, we're going to make this for the rest of our lives, That wasn't the idea. It was like, wow, this is our first big project, and hopefully this is the first of many. And we've certainly both gotten a lot of momentum off the first series and then this one. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to picture, 10 years from now and imagine what else you guys created or whatever and think, oh man, they did that and look what else they've done. I mean, like you said, you can't get into specifics, but maybe what sort of stories are you interested in telling, or ideas are you interested in exploring in the future outside of the Avatar verse?
Still the big myths. I mean, I'm still, that's the stuff that really interests me the most, is like these mythological tales, whether they're fantasy or sci-fi or that's always been kind of what I'm most interested in. Like, I don't think you'll see me like go write a sitcom or something. But
Didn't you work for you worked on Family Guy a little bit, didn't you?
We did work on
did.
sitcoms.
I mean, that was different because it's like that was my one of my first jobs. definitely a different situation where you're just working.
You're just doing what you
for
can.
someone else. And it was a great, way to learn the business and animation and how shows are run and all that stuff. But that's not my natural storytelling sensibility.
There's a reason we came over here and did this type of show.
Yeah.
Because this was much more what felt natural to us. Yeah.
I want to try to close this off if I could. So, me personally, I have been a fan of Avatar when it first aired, February 2005. I was 12 years old. Aang was my favorite character. I have literally watched every episode, every week when it's aired. Like, I have just been the biggest fan. I got everybody here to watch the series.
Cool.
And so, I mean, like, it's just to get to talk to you guys and just, I mean, you are the gods of my favorite show. It's just, it's hard to really put into words, but I mean, all I can really say to you guys is just thank you. Like, honestly.
I mean, all we can say is like thanks for like I said at New York Comic Con, like thanks for taking this journey with us, and I mean that it's not just like a little catchphrase or something. Like, it's a journey, it's a journey just making these shows. All animation is hard, like Mike said, all TV and all production is really hard, but shows like this where we're really trying to push what can be done with the budgets and the schedules and the talent available. Like, we're just, everybody's going as hard as we can, and it takes a lot out of you. It's like, I don't want like sympathy from people, but it you do want them to appreciate. But like the people who think, oh, you guys do it like a week. You make those, make another one. Why don't you make this for the rest of your life or something? And it's like, no, that was like 5 grueling years where, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to make these things. So it's awesome. My point is, thank you. Like, it's awesome that people would appreciate it enough and connect with it enough and get enough out of it that they would want to stick with it from being a kid all the way to being an adult.
And make podcasts about it.
Just look. I mean, you guys have. You led me here. This is somehow you did it.
It's not for nothing. It's not for nothing.
And I mean, there's people around the world that have. What's wrong? Wrap it up. Okay. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, thanks so much, guys. We're really excited for the end of season 4. We're all we're waiting to check that out. We're super stoked for that. And thanks so much for everything. This is such a great time. We really had a great time meeting you guys.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Now get back to work. We want to see some.
We're so close.
So, we have a segment in Korracast called Viewer Response where we like to pose a question to our viewers and they chime in with their answers, and the best ones that we like, we put in the next episode. So we thought it'd be a cool idea if you guys had any questions that you wanted to ask your fans, since we've been asking you guys all the questions. And we'll go ahead and send all of the responses to you guys, so everybody watching...
I'm not going to be reading them.
They won't read them, but we're going to just have peace of mind that they're going to... So if you guys have questions, one or both of you, now's the time. Okay, cool. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
My question is, tell us about like what your favorite moment or your favorite joke or your favorite line from a character was, and let us know. I always like to see what people respond to in the show.
Great. So that's your first viewer response prompt for this week, and you want to give us our...
Yeah. Through the years, like we've gotten amazing, either in person when we meet people at signings, or like messages we'll get from people, stuff that we never could have anticipated when we set out to make like an animated show. But both series, people have told us like how the series has helped them through some really serious like personal thing in their life. Like, again, not something that like when we were writing it, like I bet someone going through this really serious thing will, this cartoon will fix it all. Yeah. But they've used it as sort of an emotional tool or an escape or a way to communicate with someone or connect with someone. So I just like the heavy emotional stuff, the heavy personal stuff. So yeah, I just love hearing those like how did the show help you through a time in your life or help you connect with someone. So
that's great.
Either series.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what people say.
Yeah, two great questions.
We want to thank you guys again. You guys have been great. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Oh, and if the show ruined your life, I don't want to hear about it.
There was one last question. Sean and Vince didn't really ask it, but a question that's been bugging me. In a pudding eating contest, who would win, Sokka or Bolin? Go.
Oh, Bolin.
Oh, wow. It was a highly debated topic amongst us. So.
Bolin would destroy it.
Obviously, they touched on a lot of the darker issues. Korra's had a lot of character development, growth, and ups and downs. So, I mean, considering all of this, Mike, will you go to the senior prom with me?
I don't know how that relates.
Are you in high school?
I can be.
I think we're good.
If you say yeah.
Should we just crash like a prom?
Yeah.
I never went to prom, so
I didn't either. That's
if
why
Mike declines, I might.
Okay, all right,
You got it.
Bryan,
I bet.
you're my second
Okay.
choice. So.
All right, I got a nice little dress in the closet. So.